was chasing sunsets all alone. The darkness faded, painting goodbye big sky. Far away but dreaming of your ocean eyes.
And welcome everybody to the 5th day of week 1 here at the LPL spring season here in 2018. This is the S&G series versus LGD here for the unofficial English broadcast. The crew's covering the other one between Invictus and Rogue Warriors, so we thought, hey, we might as well just go ahead and cover this. I'm Alexander Opal Archambault. Joining me for the cast, as always, is going to be Stuart Sin McLeod. Sin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Looking forward to getting into the action and making sure that all the LPL games are covered in English language so everybody can really experience the full extent of the LPL.
That's the idea. We don't look here to try and steal away any kind of viewership. If anything, I do encourage you guys to go ahead and watch the official cast. They actually have a much more interesting series, to say the least. But from us to say, they're going with Invictus Gaming versus Rogue Warriors. I believe that series has actually just hit its champion select for Game 1, so do go ahead and give...
Rookie versus Doenby, that's going to be an exciting matchup in the mid lane, yeah.
Especially after all we saw at the Demacia Championship. Those two guys were huge factors in their team's performances, but we're not here to talk about that series. We're here to talk about this one, S&G versus LGD. S&G, they're just coming off actually winning their first series of the season against Top Sports. Meanwhile, LGD, they actually lost their home opener, even getting perfect game in Game 1.
Yeah, and we're back in that stadium again now to see if they can try and perform a second time around. I can imagine there's going to be a lot of pressure on them from this audience, not wanting to see a repeat performance of the previous days. But on the other side, we can see the team of Suning Gaming, and they got knocked out of the Demacia Championship by the Rogue Warriors. But during that tournament, they beat Top Sports convincingly 2-0. So, although Top Sports is currently sitting at 0-3, LGD looking at that similar level where they're looking to not really have any strength in any roles. There were flashes of moments from Imp. But other than that, LGD just looked to be struggling all across the map.
It doesn't take a whole lot to flash after, you're getting perfect game in the first of the series, so it's not out of the question, it might look like a great play in the end.
I mean, at least he didn't hold his flash like Doublelift.
Ooh, man, you're striking here at NA, you're striking right at my homeland, Sin, that hurts. I'm actually not in.
You're TSM homeboy, aren't you?
I got my TSM jersey, not on right now, of course, but it's over there in the closet. Much like all my dreams and hopes of NA's chances at Worlds, I just kind of leave it in there. I never bring it out to show it to anybody, so you guys.
So what you're telling me is you're a closet TSM fan? A
closet TSM fan, but if they do lose, I go ahead switch on over to the CLG or the C9 jersey, or it used to be the Immortals jersey. I actually really enjoyed Immortals, but well, welcome to NA franchising. Unfortunately, that organization's no longer with us. I am excited though to see these new orgs in NA. I guess we have a little bit of an opportunity. I know we're covering LPL, but being from North America, that actually starts today. So I'm actually interested to see. We got to see a little taste of the EU broadcast, and they really stepped up their game.
Oh yeah, looking really good on the production element, but the games were so interesting as well. Seeing multiple games of really high quality, like Fnatic versus Splice, and G2 versus Misfits was really exciting to watch, and seeing teams like Fnatic step it up, knowing that they've only replaced one team member, it's exciting to see. And then you look over at the NALCS and you can see so many roster swaps. It'll be interesting to see how these brand new rosters do hold together, because like TSM only holding 2 of their original roster from last year, and other rosters having replaced all 5 like Team Liquid. Be excited to see how these sort of teams interact. But coming back to the LPL here, you can see those LGD fans in the audience getting excited for that, getting excited for being perfect gamed again. But
ooh, man, Sin, come on, we haven't even started Game 1 and we're already bringing out some flame. They got faith, and you know what? It's the classic old question: if you have no faith, why are you even here? But it looks like we are going to... Oh my screen, that is something else. It looks like they're having an encoder issue, so we'll have to hopefully sort that out. Unfortunately, guys, we are casting off the Panda.tv feed. The LPL site has been... It's not been working well with us.
They betrayed us.
They said they were going to have a feed of this game, but oh my. Okay, I might actually have to restart the stream here. I don't know. They've been having some serious issues, so I'll try and get that back online for you guys. Sorry about that. There we go. random encoder issue. You can never tell. Usually here with the LPL stuff, there's always something that's going to go wrong. Usually there's a big long pause on top of everything else while the Darth Vader pandas flow across the screen.
Again, it's that Disney copyright strike coming through.
Ooh, right to my channel, right into the heart of the channel, right as it's getting the partnership, right before the big name change. It's it hurts. You hate to hear it. You hate to hear it.
Yeah, but you love to see it. The Darth Vader pandas look really...
It's pretty cool. I'll give him that.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, he gets his little lightsaber up and he goes... It's quite something else. I guess while we have a chance, we kind of can go over what happened yesterday here in the LPL, because we do have the opportunity to do so. Yesterday, I keep saying World. I know it's not their name and still working on it. Team WE actually took a 2-0 over OMG. That was kind of a shocker for a lot of people, because OMG was kind of seen one of the more stronger teams of the group.
Yeah, WE, though, still have a lot of those strong players, and we know how big Xiaohu was in that series to show up and carry it for them. He was the shining light for that roster, even when you look back towards MSI, where they played there, and that hasn't changed. He was a really big performer, and that's why the team ended up picking up the 2-0, just off the back of his really strong play.
And speaking of the other match too, we also got to see FPX take on Snake Esports, and to a lot of surprise, after Snake's performance during the Demacia Championship, they actually ended up losing that series 2-1, while LWX ended up getting a pentakill, the first one of the LPL.
And it's, I believe it's the first one of the competitive season
True,
as well.
I think
and,
so.
FPX, yeah, they've looked fairly strong so far. We can talk about their series versus EDG, which was fairly close all the way through, back and forth.
Well,
And,
game
they showed
one
a lot.
was. Game one was.
Yeah, they showed a lot of strength all the same. And to take that through and then take down Snake, regardless of how toughly fought it was, we had an Urgot top lane in one of those games as well. It's
true.
definitely one that you want to look at. But styling on the gangplank at Snake's hometown crowd, and it was a rather interesting series to watch. I definitely would suggest going back and watching that one if you do have the time. But today as well, and you got to talk about this because it's the Eastern Conference here. RNG did pick up that victory a little bit earlier on today, and what that does mean for the league is that Suning is currently sitting behind RNG, and they want to be looking to try and keep up, make sure they get their second victory as well, so they're right behind them in the standings, putting the pressure on RNG, who have lost an individual game as well, so would technically be behind Suning in the standings.
Yeah, Suning, their starting week here for a lot of people, at least from coming into this matchup after seeing how LGD perform, they're looking at their schedule, and this is a pretty easy first week. He came on in, went up against Top Sports, and now going against LGD that's looked a bit shaky at the Demacia Championship, as well as in their first series here in the LPL. So trying to get as many of these games as possible, trying to ensure you're not losing or dropping any unnecessary games can also help you out later on when it comes into those very close matchups, especially when you're looking toward playoffs, because you're looking to be one of the teams here to be at the top of the bracket.
But you definitely got to think about their up-and-coming matches after this. So they've got Rogue Warriors into JD Gaming and then into IG. JD Gaming, not one that you have to be too afraid of, although they looked like a very strong team yesterday.
They've surprised.
Yeah, they did. They have surprised us. But when you look at Rogue Warriors and IG there as well, two teams that are tipped to be right up there in the playoff spots, it's definitely ones that you have to be afraid of coming in. And Suning definitely want to pick up this one here so they can at least sit at 2-0 and have that little a bit of a buffer for those tougher weeks to come.
You like to try and secure some success early into the season, then you can try some new strategies maybe a little bit later on when you're going against those tougher opponents. It looks like we are going to be getting into the Champions Select quite shortly. I think they're just testing out some issues. You know, brand new stadium, brand new arena, I guess you could call it. It's a there's always going to be a tech issue here and there, so we'll have to see. As you can see, that beautiful new LGD arena. Sure, the team hasn't been performing well, but their production and just the overall design of this has been insane. I can even tell we're going to be getting into Champ Select quite shortly. That intel plug usually means we are going to be seeing it. So we kind of want to see how this draft is going to pan out, because for Suning Gaming, they have often started on the red side. Actually, both their games in their last series, they were on the red side, and they're not afraid to ban away the Sejuani, the Jarvan, and the Azir to try and open up some new picks.
Oh yeah, on the red side, you can understand the Azir ban being fairly common, but looking at this, looking at the champ selects from those games, you can see it's the Zoe, the Kalista, the Kha'Zix, and the Vladimir. 2 games of those played, not taken away in the second game, and really that Vladimir was one of the highlighted points. You got to talk about how much gold they put into him as well, but he popped off. He ended up getting 8 kills in that one game, and I think you got to put a lot of respect towards that pick. Maybe even look to take it away from the side of Suning Gaming so they don't show up on it again.
Yeah, because you can see if you look at their comps and also their game time, the average game of that series was around 38 minutes, so they aren't afraid. It looks like actually we got skipped out here on our bans. So to start things off, LGD, they're going to ban away the Malzahar, the Tahm Kench, and the Ornn for SNG, getting rid of the Kog'Maw, the Sejuani, and the Azir, so leaving up that Jarvan. But LGD, they say, hey, we know you like that Zoe pick, we're going to go ahead and take it away from you.
It's pretty much the exact same bans as last time, and they do pick up that Kalista that Fury spent both of his last 2 games on. But they pick up the Jarvan nice and early here. They want to try and at least get some value trade-off, knowing that they can't get the Zoe, and LGD smartly taking that one away.
So for LGD, now coming through, they're going to go ahead, lock in the Braum, and something that we've been seeing a little bit more of is the Varus for Imp.
So you can see from these 2 picks, you can death ball around level 6 in that bot lane, and try and pressure out, and that this is a very strong pick into the Zoe matchup. It's the LeBlanc. We were able to dash around those Sleepy Trouble bubbles. You can predict a lot of her damage incoming and be able to dash away. Even if she does hit the Sleepy Trouble bubble, you're able to use the ultimate to get the clone on top of you to block the damage, and it can be very useful in that sense to just try and stay alive. Her assassination potential is mitigated so heavily against the LeBlanc.
I just like seeing LeBlanc because it usually means the mid laners are going to be either roaming or they're going to be looking to make plays early, and that's kind of what the meta has been a bit lacking as of late. A lot of teams, like I mentioned, 38 minutes roughly for the game times. SNG, in their last couple of them, have been looking to try and scale, and that's kind of been what the meta has shifted into, at least here in the LPL. People are looking to just play safe for the first 15 to 20 minutes, farm up, and then look for those explosive fights. With a LeBlanc, you have that opportunity to make roams around the map if you're not getting pushed in, and I feel like Yuki is either going to have to decide to try and stay in the lane against Knight or look to try and answer some of these roams. Now into our ban phase for the second time. It's going to be the Zac and the Kha'Zix getting taken away by SNG. Meanwhile, LGD getting rid of that Vladimir that SNG has been enjoying, and the Taric.
I actually really like this pick of the Shen here because it is a flex pick between top and support. It means you can try and get the best matchup possible for your top laner, but also the ability to just play Shen support and have that real point of strength, where it shuts down a lot of what Braum and Braum wants to do, because Braum's about blocking the auto attack damage. You can just taunt him and make him completely irrelevant for those few seconds of the fight, and I'm really excited to see how well this can be utilized. But a nice, interesting pick here for Amy. We've talked about the Lee Sins in China quite a lot. The flawless showing up, and multiple Lee Sins that have been highlight reel, and we're going to see another one here, Amy. But important to note, Amy has had the lowest damage per minute of any any player other than a support so far in the LPL.
Well,
so he's going to be really looking to try and make up for that on this Lee Sin.
Especially because this is the kind of meta you want to try and make some plays early, because if you can get that advantage for your team, it can really help out, especially when you're on a Lee Sin. You're going to be looking to get some damage in those numbers. I was interested to see whether or not LGD were actually going to put that Camille into the jungle. We've seen it pop up a couple times. It's been a little bit popular in the solo queue, but instead going to run it up in the top lane, and it would not be The LPL. Oh, I'm quite. Oh, this is actually not on our end. That is actually on the end of the LPL stream. That little bit of a graphics issue, but
So you can see the browser.
yeah, I was a little confused there. I was like, I'm not too sure exactly how that's set up, but okay. Anyway, the one thing we didn't get to mention there before our champ select got taken away from us was that Jax getting locked in for SNG.
We mentioned briefly how Zhao Al was the focus of the gold, and he got around 25% of the gold percentage for his team, the highest in the team, and he ended up showing up really strong, got 8 kills in one game on the Vladimir. So putting him in this carry position again, where he's going to be going toe-to-toe with this Camille, you can expect they're going to give him a lot of support, and the Blanc is going to be looking to try and push mid and roam around this. But with the Shen able to ult top lane as well to help him out in those sticky situations, that's something the top laner never expects. The ability for the support Shen to ult to their lane. It's kind of that revenge for support players, knowing that it's always the Shen coming to their lane. Now it's the other way.
Now, I'm a bit interested as we load on into Rift 4, the game 1 here of the series. Gonna have to pardon me, guys. I'm getting back to being used to be able to talk loud. It's already messing me up a little bit here. No more bathroom casts for the both of us, hopefully. For SNG, even though they did win their games, when I check out the matchup between them and top, was they actually had a pretty low amount of wards placed. Sure, they were able to clear out some wards, but early vision here could be a key advantage for LGD if they're able to place it down early.
But the tale of that game was it was the bloodiest game so far in the LPL. 36 kills in 41 minutes, constant fighting, and the ward control was really what led to that real scrappiness, where because of the low vision control, there was always somebody face checking, there was always somebody walking directly into a ward and then getting caught out, and that's really what Suning want to be doing, just trying to deathball as this 5-man unit where they can get around the mid game, really good fights for them, and start snowballing an advantage to the later stages.
Well, you got to see that fan vote there over in China. 49% for LGD and then 51% for Suning Gaming. So able to just squeeze out a little bit of that fan vote. We'll have to see whether or not, though, they can perform here in Game 1 in the LGD arena. And like we've mentioned before, LGD, they're looking to try and strike back after that first series loss. It's a little embarrassing to open up this brand new venue and then get perfect games. So I want to see if the mentality of the players is able to adjust and try and fight back in this series.
And it's definitely wanting to try and make up for lost time, having dropped that series already.
He's going down super low. The flash comes through, and that's going to be Fury with the Ren to pick up first blood for SNG, as MP was a little too far over, and that is not the start you want to have if you're LGD.
And the reputation already preceding them, as early fighting is the tale of this game, and in mid lane as well, some big trading. But it's such an aggressive game already.
You can see Tian already looking to invade into this jungle, and he did clear out his top pretty early, and pings are coming on through. They might look to make a play up here on top as Zhao Al is going to go on in with the counter-strike. Does get the stun down, but looks like Tian is deciding against it. It's just going to go ahead and counter jungle a little bit, but ping's coming up here. A lot of control up toward this top lane.
It's definitely what we expected to see, just like the support towards the top lane, investing resources in making sure Zhao Al is going to be as comfortable as possible, but with Tian already heading up here this early, looking to see if he could start getting him snowballing.
Well, you did see it, instead is able to just slingshot easily away there as no issues. It's a Camille, lots of safety already into the kit, and unless you're able to get that stun early, which is telegraphed by the Jax, it's pretty hard. I wanted to kind of look at the runes here because I find it interesting with Jax in particular. A lot of players have been liking to run this Kleptomancy, and it does help out in the lane. You can see already picked up 3 consumables for himself, got himself some extra gold, and these quick early trades are going to allow him just to get little tiny advantages, and already the CS lead starting to build as Janao is now underneath his tower looking to clear these out.
It fits in so well with his trading pattern, having the having that Kleptomancy, being able to pop W and get that auto attack to empower the with the Kleptomancy proc and get that extra gold, being able to pop the Q and get the same effect because you want to Q in an auto. It's just everything seems to be like he wants to pop a spell and instantly auto attack afterwards. So being able to get that extra value out of that with the Kleptomancy and help him scale quicker into that late game where he can be that big 1v3, 1v4 monster is what is really made Jax more of a prominent pick in this meta.
You saw the triple pandas coming across the screen. We will be looking at the LPL side here in game 2, guys, so do not worry too much. As
has it sorted itself out?
I don't know. I'll have to double check. We'll check during the break. But PYL and Imp, after that early first blood, going on over to their opponents, are going to be looking to play themselves a little bit back, maybe hoping for some support from this Lee Sin, because now you hit that level 4, only a couple more minutes until you hit the level 6, hopefully trying to make an impact in the lanes, but already LGD, they already find themselves down 1,000 gold at 5 minutes.
It's definitely not the situation you want to be in, but the early pressure that Suning has had and the way they've played around this Kalista pick has been working out rather well and being able to get that first blood to be able to try and give her the advantage she needs come the mid game. Very impressive, especially against the early game of a champion like Braum.
You can still see. We don't talk too often. The Shen has kind of become pretty common in the bot lane. A lot of players have been really loving these high-engaged melee supports that are looking for the early trades, trying to get some early kills, and goes kind of in line, though, with a lot of safety. You see the double relic shield on both sides, because just overheal at the moment is just busted, it seems, as far as the runes go. I loved how everybody, when the runes came out, everyone's like, you gotta take Triumph or else you're trolling there. As you do see the clone coming out from Knight to try and maybe cause some mayhem up in the top lane. Xiao, he's just gonna go ahead and get a quick trade.
They could see the LeBlanc in mid lane, so it wasn't something they had to be too afraid of. But now, LeBlanc getting a big trade on it, but going in.
Flashes on in with the chains. That is going to force the flash out of Yuki. Emmy has made his way into the mid lane. Tian and him also trading. The flag drag not going to land. Damage went on through, but the knock-up didn't. You do have the Sleepy Trouble Bubble across the wall. So LGD, it looked like they had an opportunity, but SNG, they're just slowly getting more and more advantages across the map. I feel like a lot of this gold already started to pile onto this Jax because he hasn't been really punished for this pick. He's pushing in underneath the tower at this point, and I'm interested to see how LGD look to react, but you see SNG, they're getting down this deep vision. They want to go for another play. Fury on the Kalista, getting the Ren stacks. The stun comes on through. That's a second kill here for the ADC of Suning Gaming. Imp, he's trying to get a couple of auto attacks on through, but there's absolutely nothing he can do, and this is starting to look already a little bit unsettling if you're an LGD fan.
This comes off of the play that they made mid lane, where they were able to pressure out Zoe and Amy, knowing that those two would not be able to follow up on the play, and the LeBlanc had the priority on the mid lane push. They could roam down and help set up that pick, and that's going to be another kill going onto the Kalista already this early. Is going to be quite devastating come that mid game, like we talked about. Once the Blade of the Rune King is available, once you start stacking up those items, because that's where she is the strongest, in those fights around objectives where you can secure the objective so easily, or you can just throw your support in to be able to get those big engages.
And Fury, he is kind of a big factor when it comes into SNG. He has, I believe, the highest kill participation on the team. So these team fights he's going to be looking for later on. He's going to be roaming around the map. They're going to be grouping up and fighting around this Kalista. Going to use that ultimate to just throw the Shen on in and land some taunts. And it's not going to give a whole lot of options here for Imp, because the only kind of disengage you have is this Lee Sin that can kick away the Shen running on through. But that's not what you want to be using it for.
So we've talked a little bit about the Shen thus far, as we see Avi just try to come in and steal away this blue buff. But one of the strengths that we alluded to a lot earlier is the ability to have that extra roaming potential around the map. You can be the support that's then helping with the mid lane engage. You can be ulting on top of a Jarvan, ganking a Zoe. You can be ulting on top of Jax while he's taking a rough trade in the top lane and looks at risk. And it's something that not many people are expecting, because you see a Shen in the top lane, you predict it.
Well, Yuki is going to get the Cataclysm down on top of him, and guess what? The stopwatch is actually used by Tian, and Knight will just easily pick up the kill. And at the moment, it seems like Suning Gaming are just on a different page as far as the playbook is, because LGD, they just feel like they keep falling behind.
Yeah, Tien playing pretty well in terms of his positioning around the map right now. We saw how well he was able to dissuade AB from going top lane by invading early, getting vision down, taking away the camps, so there's no need for the Lee Sin to be top lane because he has no camps there. Therefore, he can't relieve the pressure for Camille without going up to the top side where he has no camps, just to pull off a gank that may not even be successful, losing a lot of his bottom side jungle, a lot of his pressure across the map, without really much gain at all.
Well, you can look at the vision across the mini-map. You can see LGD, they have very minimal ward coverage. It's only in the river and at their tri-brush. They even warded toward the blasting cone of SNG, but guess what? That bot lane is already ahead. They don't need help from the jungler. Xiao going aggressive again up in that top lane on this Jax. Also has his phage now complete, so he's starting to get himself.
We'll be getting that Triforce.
Yeah, once he gets that Triforce, he's going to be scary because look at the members here. LGD are pretty squishy when you look at it across the board, and honestly, if you're Imp, you're going to maybe try and look for a play. That's going to be the Chains of Corruptions coming on through. They do land the stun onto Yoon, but he's still pretty tanky at this point. Has that Sightstone for the extra health on top of the Relic Shield upgrade. Not going to be doing a whole lot of damage to the Shen. Emmy might be coming on down, but he's spotted out by the deep vision of SNG.
And they're just going to be able to back off after having cleared this wave and not worry about him at all. And this is really the pressure they've had on the map, where it just feels like the Lee Sin hasn't been able to have any early game impact.
You can see here, though, Knight is going to have some assistance from the Jarvan, and guess what? The Qs don't land. It looks like they're just going to flash on over, and Yuki is just getting bullied on the Zoe, but here comes that Shen ultimate, and guess what? The tower is not going to take down the Jarvan. Yoon's going to land the taunt, and just like that, Knight picks up his second kill. SNG, I feel like the plays are just coming a lot more cleaner, and LGD, they're trying to make stuff happen, but it isn't, like, just look at this in the mid lane.
LGD just making their opponents look better, but the Shen ult, no one expects the support Shen, and the stopwatch, just going to be an easy pick up there, and another kill onto Knight. Knight snowballing ahead so effectively as well, and now he's got this gun lead completed. He's going to be able to have such a large assassination potential, picking up those cooldown boots as well to make sure he can get that extra ability to not only combo, but roam around the map. You can use that W to be able to get that little bit of extra speed, getting over walls. And that's really what Suning want to be doing. We talked about how bloody they play as a team. They want to constantly skirmish, constantly force plays, and that's what they've been doing so effectively in this early game.
And that's how you this is the champion you want to take into a Zoe, because honestly, she has no way of getting away from the LeBlanc if you land the chain. Honestly, if you just W into her minion wave and she's standing next to it, you can just get a quick trade, get about a third of her health, because honestly, you can see already building the Merc treads to try and be able to take some of this damage, but it doesn't really matter.
Put it this way though.
Yeah.
Zoe is building the Merc threads against the matchup for once. It's not the other way around, and that shows you the pressure that LeBlanc has, and especially being at this scoreline already, you can understand the pressure she is just exuding into this mid lane. And not only that, this pressure will be spilling over to the rest of the map in just a matter of time, and you got to expect that this Jax lane has to be on her mind.
Well, let's see. Winter's Bite is not going to land. Chain of Corruption is popped, but the rest of the team is following on over. Here comes Fury on the Callista. The Cataclysm keeps them contained, and the knockups follow on through. SNG are just decimating LGD in their jungle. That's 3 members taken down, and they also secure the red buff. This is just getting out of control here at the 13-minute mark.
8-0 at 13 minutes, playing absolutely insane so far, and this is going to be what looks like a fairly easy game.
Jeez.
That's for Suning Gaming. And they're going to be picking up this dragon as well, not looking to give over any objectives at all.
And we talked about, you know, Knight on this LeBlanc. We expected him, hey, maybe he's going to try and push in the lane, maybe make some roams. But honestly, he hasn't needed to. His bot lane has won on their own. They barely got the help from this Jarvan. Honestly, they focused a lot toward the LeBlanc with the jungle matchup, and it feels like LGD, they just got no way of answering this for the next at least 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you can see it here. They managed to lock them in the Cataclysm, use that Callista ultimate just to keep them in place, and while the spears stacked up, there was nothing they could do. Another easy, clean couple of kills for the side of Suning Gaming, and This is what we talked about. It's nearing that mid-game point where they just want to be constantly looking for picks. And they've managed to get such an advantage before this phase of the game, crucially.
Oh. Like, you're talking about advantages, 6,500 gold before 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If I look at their totals,
I was expecting that around sort of the 20-minute mark. Because normally with this sort of composition, you'd be starting to have pressure around now. To have had this much pressure in the early game means that their point of strength is only amplified.
like, they're going pretty hard here. LGD, they just don't really have an answer for this. Yuki on the Zoe will have to maybe try and find some Sleepy Trouble Bubbles that can turn around a fight, or maybe catch out a member. That might be the one opportunity, but we haven't even talked about this Jax that has been left unchecked. You haven't seen the Lee Sin come up ever toward this top lane, finally showing himself, because LGD, they said, hey, you know what, we're just going to try and do a lane swap. Maybe we need to put some more gold onto Imp, and that allows their bot lane to get pushed in by SNG. Fury and Yoon, they don't care there's a Camille up here trying to defend this.
It's just going to be a free tower. Unfortunately, the lane swap was executed far too slow, and now they're being punished for it.
That Cataclysm's going to lock them down, and that's going to be the kill. Going on over to Tian, and down in bot lane, the tower is also taken. The Shen came on through with the shield. Knight has made his way on over. PYL forced to flash away, and Fury is 1v1ing the Camille. Yuki, though, is able to save him.
And Yuki turning up at the crucial timing. That Rend was almost ready to be able to finish her off. But it's not going to mean anything, and they do get the tower, they do get the kills in the top lane as well, but he's still giving up that shutdown gold onto the Camille, who needs to be able to 1v1 that Jax. That they needed that kind of pressure back into the game, and at least they've managed to stop themselves from getting perfect games.
Well, Knight, he's still putting on that pressure. The Paddle Star not even landing, but the Sleepy Trouble Bubble will, and that should be the kill. Following on through, get the shutdown gold, get some more gold into the mid laner's pocket. That is what LGD kind of need to start doing, but still a long road ahead of them.
And now Zoe looking to be the point of strength for this composition. As you said, they need to look to find some picks with her, look to catch members out of position, and she's doing just that right now. And this is the phase of the game where she is the strongest, where she can look to try and catch people out during these lane swaps, where people are likely to be caught out alone, with no vision, out of position. And trying to bring LGD back into the game, but it's still a long way back.
And you can see just now, if we take a look at that vision, you can see SNG, they have committed a lot toward this bot lane to try and keep Fury safe during that split push. You do have LGD now trying to get some ward coverage into their top half of the jungle so they don't lose out on this Baron control when that 20-minute mark comes. And actually, that's a flash burned by Emmy. He's very afraid, and Yuki is going to even burn his cleanse. He didn't even get knocked up. Yoon is going to land that taunt, and Fury might be looking for some damage, but here comes PYL. He's going to try and turn this around. Does land the Witcher's Bite, but doesn't get the stun off. Hextech Ultimatum now at the blue buff. Tian does not have a way out of here. He's going to flag drag. He's also going to smite to get some health back. He's going to escape, and that is demoralizing if you're on the side of LGD, if you're not able to get a pick like that.
That's been unfortunately the case in this early game. They found a few close plays, but it's been the Suning gaming collapses have just been a little bit quicker. They've been a little bit cleaner on the macro, and it's punished LGD gaming on so many occasions.
So now taking a look here, 18 minutes on the clock. You're going to have the second dragon of the game coming up. You're also going to have Baron coming around, and Xiaoal, he doesn't even care about the tower. He is looking for the dive. This Jax now has hit his spike, picks up the Trinity Force, and is able to get the solo kill up in top lane.
This is the real break point for the composition where they can get this 4-1 to work.
Oh, look at this! Knight just assassinates him! Fate's Call is also used to just get the knock up. PYL and Imp, they're trapped underneath their tower, and this is just a slaughter so far this game, to say the very least. You also got a Bork, you got a Runaan's completed for Fury. They're also gonna pop the Rift Herald. That's gonna be a second tier tower. That's the 5th one of the game for SNG. More than 11,000 gold ahead before the 20-minute mark.
This is amazing from Suning. They've never been weak anywhere on the map. You can look through the top lane, where it was meant to be a rough early game for the Jax, and covered so well for by TN. You could look at the mid lane, where Zoe was meant to have this mid-game pressure, and it's really been LeBlanc snowballing so hard off of the early game, negated a lot of that pressure. And it's just been so well done with this 4-man death ball teaming up, and now Jax is hitting that break point where he can start 1v1ing the Camille consistently. This 4-1 composition is rolling. They've got to start looking towards Baron now to be able to close out the game.
Well, it's just unfortunate for LGD because they can't really even go into their jungle if they wanted to. They got a couple wards down, but SNG, once they all get back up and start forming, like you mentioned, as a death ball unit around this Baron, they're gonna look to invade, get that vision down, and honestly, someone from LGD is gonna have to check in bot lane. Xiaoal wants to go on forward. They both are gonna get stunned up by their abilities, and looks like Yuki will be able to get out of there, but he does burn 2 of his summoners. Does have that spell book, so those will be coming back pretty fast, and he's also a Zoe, so you can always pick them up across the map from farming, but that's a bit scary too when the Jax can almost solo down your mid laner in just a pretty much half a combo.
This is the problem with Jax being able to have pressure over the bot lane now, both in the form of vision and wave pressure. It means you have to send multiple members to deal with him, and that's where the 4-man death ball unit will start to take over the rest of the map, be able to take multiple towers. And this is the real problem for LGD. They can't hold the waves anymore. They can try and wave clear, but they're going to be pressured off of the towers so quickly by the abilities of LeBlanc, Jarvan, and the Kalista.
Now, my big question becomes, can SNG look to clear out the fight? They don't even care about PYL that's right beside him. Hextech Ultimatum is used on Fury, but Fury is able to get the Ren stacks popping. That's going to be a double kill for the Kalista. Knight is going to slow up. MP has nowhere to run. The LeBlanc picks up the kill, and with this minion wave, SNG, they might be looking to finish off this game. Nobody's up for another 30 or so seconds. It's just Yuki and PYL, the Brawl Man. Unfortunately, the Zoe, they can't clear out the waves. And SNG, I was asking, how fast can they close this one out? They're going to do it in record time, just over 21 minutes. Zoe does pick up a kill. Yuki's able to get himself an extra kill onto his score spread, but it doesn't matter. SNG, in dominating fashion, take game 1.
And it's the 4-man death ball unit continuing to find picks. And it ended up being the engage of LGD, the Camille jumping on top of the Kalista, trying to remove her early from the fight, try and find their way back into the game. That cost them dearly. The collapse from Suning Gaming, it led to this really awful team fight that they didn't want to be taking. From there, just running it up mid to end the game. And you know what? I love an LGD series early in the morning, because it's just 2 games and then you can relax.
Oh man, the fire already coming out from Sin. I can't complain. I took a nice nap and I was like, all right, let's see how long this day is gonna be. And well, LGD, this has got to hurt the mentality of the team, because this was, it wasn't a perfect game, but I feel like this was even almost cleaner play than the JD series. Their opponents, Suning just played the comp spectacularly.
And we talked about that it's this scrappy death ball composition around the mid game, and that's exactly what we saw. And
they didn't even show the stats for that long. They're like, honestly, this was just a stop by
no
Suning.
one wants to see that. Yeah,
nobody wants to see
it's
that.
It's the LGD broadcast. Just like, get it away, please.
Oh my. You gotta feel bad for the fans, but they are dedicated. Though maybe it's turning. You mentioned LGD, they do have a large following, but that fan vote gave it to SNG by 1%. We'll have to see whether or not that changes in game 2, as they are looking...
I mean, they'd rather be right than supportive.
Oh wow, man. They have families, not for long the way this is going, but we'll have to see. Game 2 gonna be coming up shortly. We're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back.
find myself. I can't find myself. Can't find myself. Can't find myself. I can't find myself. I can't find myself.
For SNG, Empty was a little too far over, and that is not the start you want to have if you're LGD.
And the reputation already preceding them is early fighting is the tail of this game, and in mid lane as well. Some big...
Building a fortress, and we thought it was stronger, keeping your distance. I thought we were better. We can try to just hide from the pain by building our castle. We can build them again and again, and we can feel nothing. And I know that you're feeling alone, and we can do better. So help me to break through the stone. Help me to break through. Something losing our vision, but we can't just let it consume us. We can try to just hide from
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set for Game 2 between LGD and SNG. I'm Opal, joined by Sin. We're going to go ahead, jump right into Champion Select. After a devastating Game 1, we want to see how LGD respond back.
And LGD, they've been looking fairly weak so far this season, unfortunately, having these issues where they're just responding late to plays across the map. Yuki has been playing well. Other than that, it's been really rough to find any points of strength in the team at all, and LGD really need to step up big if they want to pick up a game off of anybody by the looks of it right now, because Suning Gaming just destroyed them last game. We saw in the previous series they got perfect gamed as well, and so they need to find a point of strength and try and play around it very strongly. So they need to get a pick like the Lee Sin. The Lee Sin was a good idea, getting something that can have an impactful early game to try and snowball the Zoe ahead. But the problem was Zoe was in such a bad matchup that it didn't even matter.
Well, let's see as we get into the pick and ban phase for bans for LGD. Getting rid of that Malzahar, the Ornn, and the Zoe this time, so we won't be seeing her on the Rift. Meanwhile, SNG getting rid of the Kog'Maw, the Sejuani, and Azir. Exactly the same as Game 1. And LGD, this first rotation, never mind. I guess I can't even get to see the screen. You gotta love Panda.tv. We checked the LPL site. They're still trolling us, guys, so.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. You really hate to see it. That hurts the eyes. So I'm sorry to anybody that got a surprise there. But anyway, back into the pick and ban phase. LGD picking up the Rise, the Gangplank, and the Kench. For SNG, though, they're getting a lot of secure pocket picks they enjoy. If anything, the Kalista, the Vladimir coming back out again, and going to add in the Jarvan again.
And picking the Vladimir into the either the Rise or the Gangplank. Both matchups strong for Vladimir. It seems like an oversight by LGD because maybe they're trying to bait him into picking this Vladimir pick. But he's very comfortable playing against either of the...
I'm about to say, you can go against a Rise, you can go against a Gangplank. Yeah. It's going to be kind of the same story. He's going to have a fine lane.
Yeah.
So, maybe the draft is...
Yeah, it seems like an oversight from LGD to be putting themselves in that situation, but having picked up the Tahm Kench this early, Tahm Kench renowned for being this pick that allows hyper carries to scale into the late game, it gives the time for Rise and Gangplank to be able to get to that later stage. But this is exactly what they did last series. They lost Game 1 convincingly and got absolutely dominated. Then in the next game they just went, okay, let's go for a protect the Kog'Maw late game composition with Lulu.
I feel like LGD are just not respecting SNG at the moment. They let the Shen go through yet again. They banned out the Taric, the Braum. But in all honesty, that isn't the style of supports that SNG have been playing. They like the Alistar, they like the Shen, big, heavy, engaged style supports, and instead you're looking to try and just avoid tools, I guess, that go against this Varus pick for Imp. Let's take a look as it's going to be rounded out. At least it's going to be a little bit more of a interesting pick of champ select here, or draft for LGD. Picking up the Rek'Sai, picking up the Kench, some variety coming out, but I still feel confident in SNG.
After the pressure that Fury had in the early game for Suning last game, you can understand the Tahm Kench pick coming through, just wanting to keep that Varus alive until those later stages, make sure he doesn't fall too far behind, and that mid-game death ball doesn't come into fruition this time around. We're seeing the Vladimir in the top lane going for that Ignite, likely the Spellbook Vladimir, just looking to have that extra pressure. But it's really interesting to look at this composition here, because we're seeing... It looks like Suning has put everything on the table from the way they're picking and banning. They either pick what we saw, and we talked about this, the Kalista, the Vladimir, and all these picks that they've been running on multiple occasions, or they ban the picks that they play. It seems like they've only got two formats two comps they like to play, and they go, okay, we're not playing this one, we'll ban the other one.
I find it interesting too, because SNG in their first go around, actually, the Shen was banned out by them in their last series, and this time leaving it up and using it to their advantage. So, like I said, I feel like the big
Zoe.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is how LGD react in the early game, because the jungle pressure needs to be there, especially with a Rek'Sai. You want to try and make some early ganks because you have that tunnel, you got that knock-up, you got a lot of easy follow-up in your lanes, and that can maybe be a good swing in momentum for LGD. But if SNG are able to just stomp through their lanes again, I feel like it's going to be a repeat.
It's like, but last series they played Kalista, Kha'Zix, and Vladimir on 2 different occasions. And when they're not playing those picks, they banned the Kha'Zix, they banned the Vladimir. And they're just trying to think, okay, these are the power picks right now. These are the picks we play. If we're not playing them, we have to ban them so the opposing team doesn't get them. And that style of pick and ban it's putting all their cards on the table. So for future teams looking to think, how are we going to be drafting against the side of Suning Gaming, it's pretty telegraphed.
Let's just see. SNG, they're going to go ahead and land that taunt. That's going to force PYL to actually start with the chomp up there. I'm just saying geez, because if I take a look at these items right now coming across the board, Sin, I think this is a record for pro play. I don't think there's been 10 stopwatches. I don't think there's been, I think there's been 8. I don't think there's been 9 though. There's 9 stopwatches in this game. Literally everybody is either splash. There's been 8? Okay. I think this is a new record because 9 stopwatches. This is ridiculous.
This is incredible. Seeing 9 stopwatches as a stopwatch meta has come into full fruition, and it's not something we've talked about this series or much at all, but the stopwatch is such a useful item. Being able to keep yourself alive for that couple of extra seconds and make sure your team can collapse on you. Come these mid-game skirmishes, come these big engages, you can engage, like we saw last game as Jarvan, that couple seconds earlier, and it gives you that couple seconds for your team to catch up after you've cataclysmed, so your engage doesn't seem as disjointed and allows teams to seem more synergized, but also protects you for that little bit longer from something like a Hemo Plague or any delayed damage that would have killed you.
Yeah, maybe this is LGD's way of saying we do not want to die early. So once 6 minutes hits, they get some free escapes, hopefully, but honestly, it's not guaranteed you'll be able to get out of there. As Yoon is gonna land that taunt, it does allow Fury to get himself a quick trade off with the Ren. So early game here, both sides hitting that level 2. Nobody gonna go too aggressive yet. We'll have to see how this one pans out. As yet again, identical item sets, that Relic Shield. Another thing I wanted to talk about really quickly too is we're seeing a lot more of the minion dematerializer. You see it up in the top lane on Zhao and in the mid lane for Yuki on LGD.
It's all about wave priority, and you want to be using that to get that little bit of extra damage to minions. You hit that breakpoint as Vladimir, for example, where your E is going to clear a minion wave instantly. You hit that breakpoint as Rise, where you can get the 2 E's, and maybe it takes 1 less spell to clear a wave. That little bit of extra mana you've got, that little bit of extra time you've got, gives you the ability to roam, or stops your opponent having the ability to roam because they've cleared faster than you. And that can be so crucial in these mid lane matchups, especially.
Well, Yoon trying to spot out Emmy. He'll actually assist him by using that bloom, so he is spotted out. Do you see Tian? He did actually show himself up in this top lane. Jin is trying to get out of dodge. He is going to get knocked up, though, even after using the flash. Knight has also appeared, and like that, SNG, they say, you know what? You're not allowed to use your stopwatch yet. Going for a dive in between the 2 towers at 3.5 minutes.
This is really crucial for them because they allowed their opponents, again, to first pick mid laner, and again, Yuki has been punished by a matchup where he doesn't have the lane priority. He's been roamed on, and that's leading to another first blood here for Suning Gaming.
Early lead, and we saw what happened last game. We'll maybe see if the record can continue. 6,000 gold before 10 minutes. SNG, they're looking to keep up that pressure and hopefully try and sweep out this series against LGD. LGD still have some time, though, to try and turn this one around. I want to see where this Rek'Sai is going to try and make some priority, where her presence is going to be shown on the map.
Right now, it really hasn't felt like much. Jarvan trying to impact the lanes early on, and Rek'Sai just trying to clear. You need to see more of an attempt to be that tool that puts your team in the lead, gives you that advantage in the early game. And Rek'Sai used to be that pick where she was the most proactive early game jungler. You want to go in with that EW early on, get the knock up, and get a red buff kill, level 2, level 3. It could be so crucial to your team.
They are looking just to abuse this gangplank. Knight has made his way up. Xiao is actually going to flash on through. Seismic Shove is going to land, and he just gets obliterated. SNG, they are just... Oh, man. This is just not the start that you wanted if you're a top laner. This is just painful.
Oh, jeez, Alex. It's not looking good here for...
Oh, jeez.
It's not looking good here for the Gangplank, doing his best Untara cosplay as he gets camped. And it's really what we talked about again in the pregame. They put so much of their focus towards the top side, and having this Vladimir who's able to dive so effectively, along with the lane priority mid, and we talked about how well Tien has been playing this. Using his third eye to predict ahead of time where the enemy jungler is going to be, always in the right place at the right time, and he gets another kill for his team.
Just seeing that, he is going to get spotted out by the Rune Prison. Here comes Emmy trying to make an appearance. He will be able to trade one kill. Knight does not have his flash available, is looking to try and thread the volleys backwards. LGD are able to get themselves a response kill here in mid lane, evening out a little bit of that gold, 1-2 in the kills.
So it's really very smart that they've been focusing so hard, not on killing the opposing mid laner, but trying to go towards the top lane from the side of Suning Gaming. Because you can see the safety from Arise, especially now the level 6 has come, of having that stopwatch plus the ultimate, means you just need to waste a gank against him to get rid of that stopwatch. So by focusing top lane, getting your advantage elsewhere, you can have that pressure that much easier. But Shen...
Oh, Yoon, going maybe a little bit too aggressive, is going to pop his stopwatch. He's able to escape. You do have Emmy on the side with the Rek'Sai. Tien over at his draw. I'm sure he was able to help out with the 2 early kills, but that one death has put him back a little bit. The flag drag is going to land, and guess what? The rest of the team just flashes on over. Yoon is really low. PYL, he's actually going to spit the Rek'Sai over the wall. Tien is now caught up, and this is just a fiesta for the ages. Another stopwatch is used. Imp, though, will finally get himself a kill here in Game 2.
And the stopwatch shows its strength again, as it just keeps on buying that extra couple seconds for the team to collapse. And right there, it saved the life of the jungle for LGD, and AB stays alive that couple extra seconds, and that is gonna save them. But LGD actually showing a bit more strength in this game, showing the ability to be more proactive, go into the enemy jungle, and it's off of the back of this Rek'Sai like we talked about.
So with SNG, are you going to try now to at least find yourself an advantage through this Vladimir? Now sitting almost 30 CS ahead, Janu should be able to actually clear out this wave pretty easily, but he is going to be pressured down. You do see no real roam. They focus a lot toward this top lane, but this Gangplank is going to find a way to scale back up. He does have that Klepto, so if he's able to get himself some of those consumables back, get some gold back into his pocket, he will be able to make an impact around the map because he does have that global ultimate.
Yeah, get that juicy bag of gold in your pocket to help stack yourself up a little bit earlier. Vladimir going for the extra cooldown boots early on, wants to be maximizing his ability to get sustain in lane, as well as the Q bar for the Crimson Rush is based on your cooldown, so the larger your cooldown is, the quicker it does fill up.
I mean,
it just means you get that extra sustain that much easier in lane, and you never have to worry about the potential of a 1v1 from the Gangplank at any point in the game.
I've been interested in seeing the kind of the evolution here in the last month with the Frost Queens start there for the Vladimir. Anybody, actually. You've seen it a couple times in jungle. There's been a couple, I know a couple color casters have mentioned, you know, I know Captain Flowers, he's been saying, you know, Skarner with Frost Claims OP, you know, able to just run around the map. But it's kind of interesting seeing that kind of item find its new niche, especially where it's going to be likely changed here in 8.2 in just a patch.
So with the ability for it to give you the bonus movement speed once you complete that quest, it's 50% bonus movement speed on spell hit. It's effectively a free phase rush. You get the gold per 10, so it gives you the bonus gold gen to make up for the cost of the item very quickly and help you scale towards those later items. It's fairly stat effective as is, and the active to help scout out the map can all be so useful, and it all compiles together to make the item such an effective one. And this was the problem before. If you remember, Lulu mid with Frost Queen's Claim was such a strong thing for a while. It was back when people would run LeBlanc with Frost Queen's Claim as well at the time, and They nerfed it then. Will they have to nerf it again so we don't see it on mid laners anymore?
Well, taunt lands. Imp still not pulling a trigger on his ultimate. I'm not 100% sure if they know the Jarvan is waiting there. Emmy is at the Water Drake. Is going to be taking this solo, it seems. A lot of pings coming out, and Tien actually is not checking this. PYL is going to get knocked up, but I guess this is just a bait because Chain of Corruption is going to be popped, but Fury and the rest of the team are able to just instantly take down PYL. Teleport coming on through, and Yuki is able to come through. The Hemo Plague is popped onto 3 members, but guess what? Now Knight has joined the fray. Stopwatch is being popped left and right. Yuki, he will have a form of escape, and guess what? Xiao, he says, I want to come on over too, buds. Is going to be kited on back. Imp does not have any mana though for the piercing arrow, and Knight is looking to pick up the kill. They're not able to finish off Imp. He's limping away with just a sliver of health, but geez, these stopwatches, I thought we used them already. There's still more.
Most of them are broken at this point, meaning you can just sell them for the gold value and keep going, but because of this fight being such an extended one, because of those stopwatches, it's given the top lane Janu so much more time to be able to chunk down that tower, and it's only a matter of time before that one goes down. But you can see him having just had to build the health crystal and the mana crystal thus far. He's really on that economy build compared to Vladimir. You're looking at this with the cooldown boots, the Frost Fang, and that blasting.
Let's take another look here.
There's a reason Gangplank didn't come down to this fight.
Yeah, this is just chaos.
Yeah, it's really just trying to buy time with the stopwatches, but not predicting that the Rek'Sai was over the wall, and they noticed when the dragon went down, it had all started to go horribly wrong. And, Vladimir tries to come in and turn it around, but it's a little bit too late, and Imp being alive while Kalista isn't, that's just going to be more damage available for the side of LGD, and now they're looking to pick up the first tower of the game.
So this is a nice turnaround compared to what we saw in Game 1. First Brick Gold gonna go on over to SNG. They're likely gonna be happy with that, at least get some extra gold in their pocket. But LGD, they got themselves a gold lead. They're gonna be feeling a lot more confident this time around, but they still gotta be careful because once SNG group back up, this is gonna be a dangerous comp to deal with.
It's still, as you say, the team fight potential of this composition is so strong. And they've got to be able to do that around the mid game, because we know the late game of the late game of Rise and the late game of Gangplank can be so oppressive. When they've got a tank line of this off-tank Rek'Sai along with PYL on the Tahm Kench is going to make it that much easier to stay alive to that point in the game. So it's definitely going to have to be big advantages coming through very soon. And it has to come back off the back of Knight again, we assume.
Well, also for LGD now, Imp kind of has a chance to show off and try to carry what he can on this Varus. Has the Rage Blade completed, has not actually upgraded his Relic Shield to the Brace just yet. Holding on that, rather have some extra damage in his pocket. He's got the safety of the Kench, so he's not too worried, but when it comes to these fights, he's going to have to stay on the outskirts and try and just apply all those blight stacks. And along with Yuki, they do have some opportunity if SNG are grouped up, especially into a choke point, to really actually turn this around. So it's both teams having to respect one another because there's certain fight conditions they're looking for.
It's definitely fair to say they're really waiting for these breakpoints before they can start trying to go hard in, and this Frost Queen's claim is definitely going to be one of them coming in for the top lane here of Zhao Al, and that's going to be enabling him to get a lot of extra gold generation. He wants to be skirmishing a lot more often to maximize that gold regeneration, and still having the stopwatch available for him. It's going to be a little bit easier for him to do so. And, his team collapse.
Both him and the Gangplank, both holding on to those as souvenirs. They said, hey, I didn't have to use it because I got dived before 6 minutes. Knight might have a lot of friends. The Flash going to come on through. PYL is going to land the tongue, but here comes Yoon on the Shen as we have a little bit of lag there from the source stream. Looks like they are able
King Crimson skipping some time there, but we're going to be fine.
Yeah, we got the stopwatches. They broke the time-space continuum. Too many people were in stasis, and now the game is starting to deteriorate. The timelines are starting to converge. But no one going down there. A good proactive play, though, coming out from LGD. I like the idea.
And definitely the Abyssal Voyage in combination with the Rise Ultimate would have worked really well in collapsing on that mid lane tower. But what they should have been looking to do is just pressuring off Knight and using a minion wave to pressure that mid lane tower, get a bit of chip damage. get some chunks down. You've got so much pressure towards this side of the map now. You could have been looking towards Rift Herald, instead focusing too hard on the kill, and that's going to be just them wasting those ultimates really for no avail. Didn't even get the flash out from Knight. All they got was the ultimate from a support Shen.
And you know what? Yoon's going to have that quite soon. He also got the CD boot, so got a little bit of cooldown reduction into the kit along with... I forget if the support items actually have a little bit of cooldown reduction. I don't know for the Targan's Sightstone path. I'll have to double check by myself.
I believe they do have cooldown reduction.
I think he's sitting on 20% at the moment.
Yeah, so what I want to talk about as well, though, is having the unsealed spellbook alongside these Ionian Boots of Lucidity to lower the summoner spell cooldown even further. It's just putting a hat on a hat, but it doesn't matter when you've got such a low cooldown.
Well, speaking of damage here toward the bot lane, Xiao gonna have to find a way out of here. Has that pool available. He's trying to get back to his tower. Has his stopwatch. He finally gets to pop it. Hemoplague is used, but he actually doesn't land it onto Yuki. And Tian, with that being said, has to back off underneath the tower at LGD. They feel like they got some strength here. Now applying pressure toward the mid lane. Fury flashes over the wall, and Yoon is gonna land the taunt. Imp, he's got some help. Oh no, Knight sections off his own team. Maybe saving them.
And I'm helping.
Feels bad. You hate to see it. As Knight...
This is what you didn't see in the climb video. The fact that she was walling off the rest of her team from picking up a kill.
And you didn't see a Jarvan also with, you know, he's the reason all the mountains are kind of converged like that. He's blocking off the exits for the Talia, and she says, okay, I gotta get out of here somehow. A bad, unfortunate play there for SNG, but LGD, another dragon getting secured here by Emmy. He's been putting a lot of priority over here, and that's going to be a water and a cloud drake. Going to be followed up with a mountain here in a couple minutes.
This is much better play from LGD. Although they have played a lot off of the mistakes being made by Suning, they're still making proactive plays. They're still willing to go in and try to get advantages across the map. Whereas last game, it just seemed like they sat back and let everything happen to them. And although that is still what the bot lane is doing, and PYL is able to mitigate most of that with its Tomcat.
Let's go with Tian invading yet again, taking away the blue buff. I find it interesting. SNG, they've played all their games so far in the season, the fourth game being this one, on red side. We haven't seen them on blue, so I guess they just kind of prefer that through the draft phase. And you know what? They don't find the red side advantage a lot of people talk about.
People talk about like the fact that there's so many strong picks in the meta right now, that the first pick being the most important of them all. But when you're not banning away some of those power picks, you leave, for example, like the Zoe up. You can get them to pick that first, and then you're happy to pick the counter into it.
Oh,
So
PYL.
they're using the red side effectively.
Let's see, Knight might be caught out. He gets knocked up. Chain of Corruption coming on through from Imp as he is going to find the kill. And Yuki comes on over with the Realm Warp, and that's going to force the flash out of Jarvan. So LGD find another pick, and with that, find the second tower of the game.
Again, really nice proactive plays from LGD, making sure that roaming as a unit, Yuki able to collapse with the Realm Warp, the Abyssal Voyage continually being used, just to try and make a collapse with multiple members, and that's going to net them a couple towers off the back of this play.
Well, let's see, SNG maybe trying to at least try and change that. Yoon is going to land the Shadow Dash. He does have a decent amount of resistances, but that is going to be the tower falling. Xiao is on the side. They are looking for a fight. Fury, he does not yet have his Runaans, and Tian just gets instantly chunked on down. Imp finds the damage. Here comes Knight, though, on the Talia. It's a little bit too late, and he doesn't find the damage. He doesn't find the knockup, and that's two more members of SNG getting taken down, and the second tier tower falling.
Unfortunately for Suning Gaming, they're having exactly what they did last game happen to them, and now it's them starting to look towards maybe the scaling of this Vladimir to be the thing that gets them back into the game. The team fight pressure that they have, and they need to look for a really good team fight come that 25-30 minute mark, because right now they're such a big disadvantage. Looking at this gold lead already, it's the Rise, it's the Varus that's just giving them so much strength.
We get another look at what happened during this replay. Even after the tower falling, SNG want to pull the trigger.
You can see this here. They keep on trying to go deep onto the back line. and it's just too much to ask for when you're ignoring a carry like the Gangplank who's able to free hit the backline. They wanted to remove Varus, they wanted to remove the Rise, but with Tahm Kench available, it's just so easy to protect.
PYL going into the mid lane, gonna execute some of those minions, get some more gold onto Imp, and vice versa, sharing the love with each other as the Baron has spawned as we reach that 20-minute mark in Game 2. LGD sitting comfortably at a 4,000 gold lead, and they do have the ability to try and open this one up. This is a nice showing so far. Let's see if they can continue, though. SNG, they are looking to strike back, and they do have some team fight available to them. They're trying to wait on Fury. He really needs to get the Runads. Emmy looking for a knock-up. Knight is going to support the Jarvan, and Tian should be able to get out of there just fine. Some deep vision being traded back and forth, though.
Really pressuring deep because they want to remove all the vision to set up for Baron here. And they're not going to concede anything back to Suning Gaming. And this is really a different side of LGD we're seeing. And it's not that just roll over and die when they're behind. And we can see if they do get an advantage in the early game, how well they can play around it and how they're willing to force these advantages.
And the question...
that's the side of LGD we want to see more often. But it's about getting those early game advantages consistently.
And from the point here of SNG, we want to see, you know, how are they going to react trying to fight back after being at a disadvantage early? Are they going to be able to try and turtle this one out, scale back up, and then find the fights? Or are they going to be looking for picks? Because LGD, they kind of adapted the style we saw in Game 1 of SNG, and they might have overcommitted. PYL is forced to flash away. Imp on the front line. Fury tries to go toe-to-toe, but he just does not have the damage. Imp will find the kill onto Knight. Xiaoal is able to get the Hemo Plague. He uses the pool, but that's going to be a double kill for Imp. And now on this Varus, LGD, they take down Knight, they take down the Vladimir. Are they going to be looking to try and get some pressure toward the Baron?
And this shows some issues from Suning. They still want to be forcing these plays with this brute force, forcing teamfight style. And at this much of a disadvantage, you can't afford to do that, and it's cost them the Baron. And if this continues, it could cost them the game.
And that's going to be Baron secured by LGD, and I believe that's their first Baron of the season, so they got to be feeling pretty happy with themselves, able to get some gold back into their pockets and maybe look to try and take their first home win, at least game-wise, and then look to try and bring this series into Game 3 where they can turn it around and maybe give a little bit of an upset to a lot of people coming into this one, especially that fan vote. We didn't even get to talk about that. You mentioned the supporters. Well, they seem to went to SMG side, because I believe it swapped from 49 to 51 to a 30 to 70 ratio. So fans are feeling confident in SNG's success. LGD looking to prove them otherwise. PYL is trying to step up, but a lot of poke coming on through from Knight isn't going to be enough, as that's the fourth tower of the game going on over to LGD.
Although LGD's highlight reel is fairly limited, they're going to be looking to try and make these highlight reel plays with the 603 Varus right now. This is going to be really Imp's moment to shine. We said how he had flashes of really good plays as that one
the Kog'Maw
moment as Kog'Maw, where he was just able to dancing shoes to be able to dodge so much and get a couple kills for himself. But we need to see a lot more of that consistently. And
there they go.
Pull that off this game.
That's going to be Cannon Barrage into the Rek'Sai ultimate. Knight is just taken on down. And with that dive, it should be enough for LGD with the Baron to maybe crack open the base, the inhibitor tower. Now the next target.
Well, that's one of the main sources of wave killer, down for a couple, like almost a minute here. And this is going to be an inhibitor broken, potentially looking instantly to pick up.
Oh, there you go.
Wave. Yeah, this is going to be a couple of inhibs broken open, and potentially they can look to push even further.
SNG, they seem to have fallen apart. LGD have woken up and are now looking to take their second inhibitor of the game at 24 minutes, break open the base of Suning Gaming, and now are in full control of this one, up 12,000 gold.
Yeah, with still a lot of gold in their inventory from having taken Baron, that standing gold. On top of those two towers and inhibitors, there's a lot of gold to spend, and you want to have the biggest advantages possible. So they're going to be basing, spend that gold, get back on the map as quickly as possible. And even so, they're not willing to give up this Mountain Dragon.
So 3 dragons secured, a large gold lead. SNG, what can they do to try and fight back on this one? They seem very far behind. They have to turtle back, farm up. Fury does have his runehounds, but it doesn't matter when you're almost getting deleted at the start of the fight, because now this Rek'Sai going more of a damage-oriented build, has that adaptive helm to try and at least take some damage from Knight and not be too afraid. But you have the Black Cleaver, you got the Warrior's Enchantment, looking to just dive onto one of these carries and just assassinate them with the ultimate.
Yeah, being a whole item behind from Fury, definitely not going to have the same strength he had in the previous game. And, now we see this Executioner's Calling picked up from Varus. It's going to be even more difficult to see that that point of strength we talked about in the early game, the Vladimir, have any impact come these late game team fights, since he isn't able to have that sustain and use his health bar as a resource, considering his healing is so limited.
A lot of people really underestimate that buy from time to time. It's 800 gold, but honestly, it could just shut down champions. And this Vladimir that was, you know, starting to dominate last time around and getting some early assistance, just wasn't able to commit too much. Tian is going to go on in with the Cataclysm. Emmy is going to be able to tunnel away. Yuki on the side, getting some damage away. Xiao has to back off toward his Nexus Towers, but you see this LGD, they might be feeling the end of this game coming down. Barrel combo is going to land on Iyun. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But look at this. Minions are starting to crash into the Nexus Tower. The flash is going to be popped by Yuki to avoid the flag drag. Knight is looking to try and chase him down. Iyun does not land the taunt, and that will allow the Zhonya's and the Realm Orb to get Yuki to safety.
And it's LGD proving us wrong right now, but...
There you go. It's going to be the knock-up into the Hemoplague. A couple people taunted up, but guess what? Fury gets just obliterated by the Rise. Make that 2 members getting just destroyed, and LGD fight their way back into this one. Double kill for Imp to end this one off. Nexus Towers, now the next target. Is up to Tian to maybe have a miracle save, but guess what? This Jarvan can't do enough, and that's going to be the first win of the season on over to LGD as they tie up the series 1-1 in...
It's LGD, they proved us wrong. They were able to do exactly what we said they needed to do. They were able to get those advantages in the early game, play more proactively. Don't just be reactive, don't just let Suning do what they want on the map. And they punished their mistakes. They were able to get to the plays on time this time around, and now it's LGD going into the 3rd game, potentially looking to take the series.
And from there, you gotta wonder, coming into mentality, you had a dominating game. You even had a dominating early game from Suning Gaming. They applied a lot of pressure toward that top lane to continue the dives, but just wasn't enough to really snowball the game out of control. You put a lot of emphasis to try and shut down this gangplank, but honestly, Imp showed up here on the Varus.
Imp ended up having a very good performance here and was able to put down a lot of damage. Just ended up being so safe because of this Tahm Kench, and I think you have to look at this as a takeaway, because without Imp, that would have been a lot harder. We would have seen the Gangplank struggle a lot more to be able to get to this stage of the game. But with the safety, being able to just put him in his mouth, whenever Suning went deep, whenever the Vladimir was looking to dive onto the backline, had no target available.
Well, with that, guys, we are going to go ahead, take a quick break. When we come back, it's going to be Game 3 to decide the series between LGD and SNG.
Justified our sin. We're gonna take you on a ride till we find answers within. Location not here. In shadows we all disappear. Hold on, switch gears. We're going as fast as we appeared. Going as fast as we appeared.
Walls are in way.
stay here when we could run free? Who would we be if you weren't with me? No, I'm never going home again. We're like animals in the dark. Where we live, I make pretend we're lost forever.
And welcome back, everybody, as we get set for Game 3 between LGD and SNG. As we're getting to see whether or not LGD can actually pull it all together and get themselves their first series win at home in the brand new arena, or can SNG deny them that? I'm Opal, joined by Sin. We're already into Champion Select, so let's go ahead and run through this really quickly. LGD getting rid of that Malzahar, the Zoe, and the Ornn for SNG. Getting rid of the Azir, the Kog'Maw, and the Sejuani. And LGD, they're going to go ahead first pick that Rise where they were finding a lot of success.
And definitely one of the picks that allowed them to rotate around the map so effectively, but Suning taking away one of the other picks that made them so strong in that Tahm Kench. It's gonna limit the safety that Imp can have, and the only other thing I could really think of that would limit, would give that kind of level of safety would be things like the Braum, would be things like the Zillion.
Oh, looks like we had
so I'm not really expecting to see those come through.
Sorry there, guys. Looks like we had a little bit of an issue come on over, but nonetheless, SNG locking in the Jarvan and the Kench this time around, so we won't be seeing the Shen for Hune. LGD, what are they looking to respond with? Going to be the Braum lock-in, and hovering this gangplank. It did get abused early, but it was able to find some good fights in the end half of that game.
I saw that low-key Jinx hover. I know you're a fan of Jinx.
Close. I was close.
It would be interesting to see, but it has been a very snowbally ADC pick recently that has a lot of late-game scaling, so it would be rather interesting to see it come through after the buffs that are coming through very shortly. But instead, it's going to be that prime quality ADC. We know him well. It's the Ezreal. With that Kleptomancy, able to really cover for his early game weaknesses that he was rather well known for in the past. Still got a strong level 1 and 2, but after that, he kind of fell off until he picked up 1 or 2 items. Now with the Kleptomancy, it just gives him that extra sustain, gives him that extra gold generation to get to that point.
Interested to see. This is the first time Fury's actually not played Kalista so far in the season. Played in the first 4 games. Now the Ezreal coming out. It's been kind of those 2 favorites for the ADCs. And actually, you see SNG in their ban cycle to begin things off. It is going to be the Kalista banned away. LGD are going to respect the Vladimirs. That's taken off the table. And it's going to be a follow-up here. SNG going after the ADCs. Going to get rid of Sivir as well.
They're really trying to put Imp on something a little bit less high priority, but having gone away from the Kalista for the first time, have Suning gaming. So maybe wanting to buy into more that late game style, thinking we can beat them in those team fights, so we just have to make sure we get there.
And Knight actually drawing a Cassiopeia ban, so not going to have that option. Still, the mid lane not shown just yet. In SNG, they're going to hold on to it and see what the rest of LGD's comp is going to be. Camille getting locked in likely for the top, and Impi's enjoyed the Varus so far in the series, going to play it for the final game.
The Sivir seems like a bit of a wasted ban when he gets to play the champion he's played every game this series. I can understand the Kalista ban, you've been taking it away from him every game, so you don't want to have him choose you and steal your, the pick you were playing. Instead, he ends up just falling back to the pick he's played so many times now, and really, Amy, looking for a pick that he could have just as much of an impact on as the Rek'Sai and the Shyvana, known to be one of these very snowbally junglers, very fast clear speed, can be utilized very effectively in that way.
Depends on how it's played. If you're looking just to farm up, you usually don't have such a huge impact as, say, a Jarvan would early into the game. So I want to see what kind of route he's going to go for. Maybe if we'll see an early gank come out, you do have that Rise that can lock down this Kassadin pre-level 6 and maybe force some summoners out at night. As, like I mentioned, the Kassadin going to be the last lock-in for SNG.
It's a fairly common matchup here in the mid lane. It's a fairly even one as well. The Kassadin and the Rise both looking to scale until the late game. So both of them have a very effective way of getting there as well, whereas they both tend to build that sort of like Abyssal Mask start, that more sort of tanky, a lot of mana in the early game. And it works for both of them because they both have mana scaling damage on abilities. So it just gives them that extra time where they can build into more safe items, but still buff the damage.
For me, SNG, their bot lane, I want to see how they play, because this is a much different style than when you play with a Kalista, something that can pick up that support and save it or use it for an engage. You really are relying on the rest of your team to try and engage, especially this Jarvan. The Cataclysm is going to be the key component here. The Camille jumping onto one of these squishy carries. You don't have as many tools available. You have a lot more outplay potential, I believe, with an Ezreal, but not as much engage.
You're definitely not as much engage as the Callista pick, but you do have that poke, you do have the ability to set up sieges effectively. So it's just a case of being a little bit being lane dominant in a different way, and having the Harm Kench there to back you up, having him there to keep you safe, especially when you have the E available. If you're slightly out of range of him, to make sure you get that Devour off, is going to make it that much easier for him to survive until those later stages, where he's going to just be trying to outscale this Varus. Although the attack speed Varus does still have a lot of late game damage, it's about hitting that point where you can get this team fight going.
Well, we'll have to see. You saw the fans in the stadium or the arena. They were looking pretty confident. Who was it? I believe it was Rusty on Twitter. He mentioned all the LGD seating in this theater is actually massage chairs, which I think is, you know, if you're gonna spend the money on a venue, that's one thing I would love to have all the time. Massage chairs. At least you can be comfortable seeing your team get perfect. But here we go. Final game of the series. LGD are looking for their first series win in their home arena. SNG, they had a slip up in game 2. Are they going to be able to bounce back and take it? To see how this one's going to pan out.
And so, with a lot less stopwatches than last game.
A little bit, a little less. You know, we're
Yeah,
sitting at 7 instead of 9. Still, everyone on LGD running the stopwatch.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's insane if a team just fully runs the stopwatch. I think it just shows there might be a little tiny bit of a balance issue.
Yeah, imagine you're just dominant the entire game. You have no issues all the way through, and then you're standing there at the fountain, all going golden. It sounds glorious, but.
This is a first.
That's the 5-man. Yeah, being able to zone them away from this red buff so that he can go in for the invade and take it away. And seeing Amy come in this early with this much confidence is it does fill me with a little bit more confidence for him being able to get this early game aggression. But he's behind in camps already from Jarvan, who's now on his 2nd buff.
But look at this. Yuki, he actually started E, so this is literally just trying to get Hacker away from the red buff, showing himself in mid lane, showing the path toward that is going to be enough to force the Jarvan to back off.
Very interesting there to see him going straight red buff to red buff. But it's worked out effectively as he's got himself perfectly in time with Hacker thus far. And we'll have to notice that it is Hacker in the jungle, not TN anymore.
Yeah, there was a substitute there. We didn't actually see it on our screen. We did actually switch our feeds, guys, so we actually don't have the Darth Vader pandas investing the screen. That's for me, that's a sigh of relief, but we didn't actually get to see the substitute there. And already in this mid lane, Knight is going to have a bit of trouble until he hits about that level 6, but still that Ryze should be able to trade back and forth with him.
He's still staying up in CS, he's still comfortable in that matchup, so no real issue when you have the availability of that null magic orb to make sure you stay on that high HP, give yourself that magic damage shield. But where I want to look on the map right now is back towards Hacker here, as we saw TN on the same Jarvan pick, wearing the same skin, was the MVP in Game 1. Did struggle a bit more in Game 2, but now Hacker trying to hopefully emulate the success of that first game.
Did see him trying to scout out the jungle, maybe try and spot out this Shyvana, but instead just going to get that ward down and back off. He wasn't spotted out in the river, so unfortunate for him, he doesn't have that knowledge. And Xiaowao up in this top lane has to be careful. The burn coming on through, and that's going to be first blood onto the gangplank.
Great start here from LGD, getting the first blood and looking a lot more comfortable for it now. Not having to worry so much about these big engaged plays where you've got the mid and the jungler coming up to top lane. Gangplank feeling a lot safer in this matchup. You can see how much he's been getting from the Kleptomancy thus far. He's already comfortably ahead. And here's we're going to see the replay very shortly.
Yeah. You can see Xiao. He's this is pretty aggressive actually coming out from him. Maybe just underestimated that mana regen, because I think he actually went for the all-in but wasn't able to land it. No, he
got hit by the barrel chain and then just flash auto attack burn as he's trying to use the hook shot away, and that's gonna cost him his life. And really, Xiao Al making a mistake. Not really, he's not really prone to mistakes in the laning phase, but this time it's gonna cost him quite dearly as Gangplank may be down in CS, but we know with using those parlays, he's getting gold whenever he hits a minion, he's getting gold whenever he hits a champion. It's bank plank, baby.
He's got the sheen, he's got a red pot, he's feeling pretty good so far. Emmy gonna go ahead, take the red buff for himself, and I kind of want to see with this Shyvana, usually teams put a lot more priority toward that dragon because you want to get those stacks and really help her scale into the later part of the game. So the vision already coming down, it looks like the pings are coming on through, and he's gonna go ahead and start up that dragon. I think he got spotted up by a ward and decides against it.
And Hacker spending a lot of his time in the enemy jungle, again focusing a lot of pressure around topside. But one thing I want to talk about quickly is the double minion dematerializer again. We can see it on the Ezreal this time. Fury looking to try and make up for the fact that he doesn't have a support that really does much damage, really has any pushing help. By taking this minion dematerializer, and on the other side, it's the Rise looking to just try and make sure he can push in the Caston and pin him down in these early levels.
Honestly, Hacker's gonna go over the wall, but he sees a level 5 Shyvana. This is not exactly what he wanted, likely, but Emmy was already a little lower than he would like to, and Knight has roamed on over. That's gonna be a Realm Warp from Yuki to try and turn this one around. The knock-up follows on through. Knight picks up a kill in response. Yuki now running for the hills. He doesn't have a stopwatch available. Ignite ticking on through, and Yoon will secure that one. And now PYL, the next target. Flash Tongue is gonna come out from Yoon. Does land the slow, but PYL does have Imp to at least dash away, and just like that, SMG turn around a fight in the jungle, pick up 2 kills.
Yuki, having used the Realm Warp to get into that fight, wasn't able to use it to get out with the stopwatch combination. And it means that he does end up going down, and we're going to see the replay again shortly here, but it's really just them trying to collapse quickly onto a Knight, but Amy just busted down far too quickly, and then without the Shyvana, the damage is too lacking. The collapse into the enemy jungle was too strong, wasn't quick enough, and Suning Gaming just able to finish them off and make sure they get the couple kills, get themselves back into this game tempo-wise comfortably. Although Janu still really dominating this top lane matchup.
Now, once he has that Sheen, and now he has the safety too of that stopwatch to hopefully allow Yuki to be able to respond if something goes awry up in the top lane, get that Realm Warp over, and maybe try and turn around a fight. Every lane now actually has access to that stopwatch, so SNG, they've kind of lost their window of opportunity to be aggressive with this Jarvan, and I'm a little upset so far with Hacker's decision and his pathing, because he actually fell decently behind of the Shyvana. Sure, he was able to pick up the 2 assists, but coming into that, he was otherwise lucky that LGD actually made that mistake.
Yeah, but the clear speed of Shyvana is so brutal, it's so hard to deal with, and even with just a couple of daggers, she has so much trading potential because that's what she needs. All of her abilities stack with her attack speed. She's got the on-hit damage from her E. She's got the fact that her W reprocs its damage and lasts for longer with every auto attack. And your Q cooldown is lowered as well.
You see Knight going aggressive there with the Rift Walk, also lands the silence. Yuki gone down to about half health. He does at least try and get some damage back onto Knight, but now he's starting to hit that point where he got the X-Tech Revolver coming out from Knight. So actually going pretty aggressive in this lane instead of going for that Catalyst we often see. Instead rushing the Gunblade, it seems. So
I doubt it's Protobelt, so I assume this will be GLP.
Maybe GLP, yeah, usually that's kind of been the niche item we've seen on the Caston from time to time. Just get that wide slow, it really lines up and allows you to just keep and stick with any lane, or especially with a Rise that might be trying to teleport away, so you don't have to use as much mana in your Rift Walk.
Yeah, so it definitely seems like a possibility because you end up just chasing people down that much easier. You can, as you say, stick to people. But it does mean he's not going to have that extra resistance as early on that we normally see from an Abyssal Mask early. Or even as we see from W1D5, which is the Abyssal Mask into Iceborne
please,
Gauntlet.
no. That's the Cassidon that somehow still does damage with 2 tank items and can assassinate. It as someone
it's the mana scaling, yeah.
It hurts. It hurts. That mana scaling. You don't expect it, and it's that sudden just burst of damage from a tanky Cassidon, a tanky mid laner. Is this an assassin? It don't make sense. That's
It's Galio all over again.
It's Galio all over again. Knight goes over the wall to try and get a quick trade in. Yuki's gonna put down that Rune Prison though, and get himself a quick burst back, and still trading back and forth here in the mid lane. Both of them wanting to play aggressive, still waiting on the junglers to actually make an appearance, because this is, at least in the last 2 games, we haven't seen as much as that duo matchup in the mid lane. The jungle and the mid laners having to play together and really try and snowball leads from there.
And this is where we see how well a team will be able to play around objectives at an even pacing. We've seen both teams try and play off of an early game advantage to be able to snowball, and how well they've controlled the game from having that tempo advantage. But now with a game that's a lot more evenly paced, when we come into this 15-20 minute mark, how do they look to control vision? Because we've seen that's been an issue in the past for Suning Gaming. But how are they going to be looking to close the game out in terms of pinning the enemy down, removing their control of the map?
Well, here Yuki is going to get silenced there, and here comes the Voyage from Yoon. But guess what? You got a stopwatch. You got the Realm Warp. He's able to get out of there just fine.
It's going to be that stopwatch gone, though, and crucially, this could be the mid lane tower.
Although Shao came down.
Although the ult does come down from Jinnu, it does mean that a lot of damage is taken from that tower. Now with all the recalls coming through from LGD as well shortly afterwards, the control of the map is here for Suning Gaming. They have the vision pressure around this river. They have, although it's minimal vision pressure around bot lane, and it's going to enable them to make plays more so than LGD.
They say minimal. That's a nice little ward line going through the jungle of LGD toward the Gromps, not the Gromps, the Krugs on that bot side of the map, and seeing if this Shyvana is just going to keep on farming, even toward the top side around the Rift Shield, especially around these pits. Just trying to spot out and see if LGD go for a sneak and try and get that cheeky dragon stack in favor of the Shyvana. Fury and Yoon still looking to push back here. Imp is going to get slowed on there. Fury finishing up his Iceborne Gauntlet, so he's going to be able to stick pretty close to these pretty immobile carries.
It's interesting though, because like prior to the competitive play, everybody was talking about, yeah, it's Triforce Ezreal. Everybody's going for the Triforce because you've got that bonus damage, because everybody had their base damage increased with the preseason patch. His base damage with the Sheen proc just hits like a truck once you've completed it. But the moment the LCK started, okay, Iceborne Gauntlet's back, guys. Death's here. He has to play his blue Ezreal.
Well, Yoon, he did have to burn his flash to avoid a chain of corruption from Imp, as he looked to try and catch him toward the Tri-Brush as they were trying to get some cheeky vision down. Still, no massive plays yet, but that could turn as Hacker comes on through. Yuki is forced to flash away. Do see that GLP at least gets the slow down, but they're not able to finish off the kill, and that's going to be a flashless rise here for the next couple of minutes.
Having that down does mean that you can try and just simply try that play again very shortly, as the Cataclysm, generally on a fairly short cooldown, will be able to come straight back. But what I think they should be looking to do now they've pressured out the Rise is look towards this bot lane. It's been dominating thus far. The tower's been poked low. And if you can pressure Amy out of her own jungle, his own jungle, it makes it that much easier to take this dragon and get the towers and get this map advantage.
We see LGD's bot lane looking for a back, and Hacker's going to make the call to go ahead and solo the Drake. Knight comes on over to provide some assistance, and Fury is looking to pick up the first tower of the game, going in favor of SNG. On top of that, a Mountain Drake, so able to get themselves a little bit of an advantage here as they just crest over toward that 14-minute mark.
This is off the back of that mid lane play. Since Yuki wasn't able to respond, they can send 4 members to that bot lane. And Imp and PYL, they know they can't step up to defend that tower anymore, so they're just trying to get the lane swap and be ahead on tempo so that they can start pushing the wave, and they're not the ones being pushed in when the wave starts up again. Because generally what you want to do, you take the bot lane tower, you lane swap, and try and get the top one at a tempo advantage. They've seen the play in advance, and that's going to save them any tower damage that would have been taken.
Well, let's see whether or not Hacker decides to play aggressive toward this top lane, though, because now you're exposing this Varus to a little bit of a lengthier lane and more opportunities for this Jarvan to maybe find the ganks. Do have him at that red buff. No pings coming on down just yet. They'll let Fury and Yoon just deal with it themselves.
And so the teleport coming in though here, it's potentially looking to collapse on the GP.
Knight, he's looking for it. Is going to get spotted out by the ward, and honestly, Hacker up and toward top. Dragon's Descent, Emmy looking to try and chase him on down, gets the blast cone, and Hacker, oh, I think this was an accident from him. He is going to at least get spotted out by a ward. He does at least find some safety. Maybe he was expecting that Dragon's Breath to come across the wall.
Yeah, it's a lot of burst damage that can come out of that Dragon Breath, so you can understand that. But with that Dragon form running out, it does mean that he did have to blow a lot here to be able to get away, and a lot of his health bar is gone. So the pressure is there now in top lane for the side of LGD. Not the way we were expecting, but trying to make up for it with a collapse on bot lane.
Gangplank is exposed, still has the stopwatch, even pops the cannon barrage, and Knight gets a little bit of damage before that goes on, but here comes that chain CC from Xiao, and just like that, Knight will pick up his second kill of the game. Look up toward top lane though, LGD threatening a dive if SNG decides to stick around.
See, this is a mistake here in my opinion. I think Knight should be pushing bot lane, Xiao Al should recall and potentially look to TP to assist his team up here.
Still has that TP available if he wanted to. He is going to start the back as they do crash.
They're trying to defend the lane, yeah. They're trying to defend the lane and push two lanes at once to pressure LGD off of the tower instead. So they've got Knight pushing mid lane. The mid lane tower is already low, so this is a pressure point on the map. And they've got Xiao Al still pushing in the bot lane as well. So instead of trying to defend that top lane, defending from a collapse, they've just tried to force LGD off of the map.
I like that, because Knight then was able to rotate toward mid, get themselves a tower in a trade, and they gotta be happy with this one. Now up 3,000 gold at 16.5 minutes. Hacker gonna steal away a little bit of the jungle. Gotta be a little bit careful that Shyvana is sitting around the corner, and Yuki could set up the kill. Looks like they're trying to back off as they are trying to just clear out some of this vision. Hacker gonna go toe to toe, and the brush is able to at least clear that one out. No one's gonna be ahead of anybody though in the vision as the zombie war is just cleared away.
Even a 0-1 one-item Shyvana is still so strong at this point in the game. You have to give so much respect over. You can see that from the fact that Hacker's choosing to build towards the more tanky, the more tanky route rather than the Warriors and Challenge.
BYL, he's gonna be wishing he had that ultimate again as he fans on that. Yoon just walks straight forward. Fury was caught out by a Chain of Corruption, but he was just gobbled on up by that Kench and brought to safety. Still looking to defend this top tower with what they can, just keep on farming.
That's the problem. He did the old Space Invaders aiming. You gotta aim where they're going to be, not where they already are, and end up whiffing on the ultimate. But it does mean that they whiff on the engage. Really nice timing on the E from Fury, so he was able to be devoured, and we talked about that a little bit in the pregame. Just having that extra bit of safety, that extra range for the Devourer, essentially, just means that Fury is that much safer, and it saves them this time, and they are able to keep pressuring this top side, and they'll just be able to keep pushing the Varus in over and over again.
Look at this, Hextech Ultimatum is going to be popped, but the rest of the team coming on over. That's 3 members of LGD in the bot lane. SNG, they're not able to really do anything as their bot lane backed up in top, so free kill going on over in favor of LGD.
So this Rise is really working out for Yuki, and this is something that's great for LGD because we talked about the fact that in Game 1, they really struggled to be proactive and they just kind of sat back and let things happen across the map. Even though the play whiffs in the top side, even though they make mistakes, they're willing to go for these plays, and this Rise collapsing on the side lane, able to help out the, help out on finishing off Xiao Al, very crucial to the team, and we saw it even on the Zoe in Game 1, and Yuki really a point of pressure for this team where he's really willing to be that playmaker across them.
Now, LGD do see these members of SNG in the river moving toward this top side. Looks like they're just going to go back off the tower. It's going to be a trade of first tiers in the bot and in the top lane. SNG are able to finally knock this one down after sticking their bot lane up there for a couple minutes. I mean, them just going to go ahead, try and clear out vision, and actually this Camille can get a decent chunk of damage down, and he's got to be a little bit careful. Does have the Rise to support him if it gets a little out of hand.
While this is all happening, the Rift Herald is going to happily be taken by Suning Gaming, and there's not really any pressure on that top side of the map to stop them, so they're going to be able to take this blue buff away as well. So you can try and invade on the bottom side, and this has really been the issue for the Shyvana. Every time there is pressure from the Shyvana on one side of the map, there's just Suning Gaming are happy to act that on the other side of the map and get advantages there, so they end up going even, but even going ahead on this one as they're able to pick up the Rift Herald for free.
And it's a little bit scary, even though this Camille has the 2 deaths, once you got that Triforce completed, just has just an unnatural amount of damage in this kind of early to mid game. And honestly, Cataclysm comes on over, but they don't actually finish the kill. And it looks like Yuki didn't even use his flash. I'm actually puzzled how he got out of that one.
Because it's not Yuki, it's Gangplank.
Oh, wow, I'm boosted. I've been used to these Ryze in the side lanes, just pushing that out, and oh wow, I am tired. I have to be tired. 1,000 apologies.
It's Gangplank just using his flash to get out of there, but Hacker had to blow his flash to get over the wall to be able to use the Cataclysm in the first place. So not having his EQ available actually ends up costing him there because he was using his EQ to fight the Grump, and wow, Yoon,
a little bit aggressive. Here comes the rest of the team for LGD. The cannon barrage is popped. Knight gets a huge amount of damage. Hextech ultimatum right on top of him, and he's got nowhere to run. 3 members of LGD just get obliterated in mid lane by Suning Gaming.
Yoon he was only pretending to be stupid. He managed to go in and bait them into that fight, and is able to buy the time for Zhao Al to collapse onto the back lane, get rid of him, and so much burst now that can come out from Suning Gaming. They're happy to go towards Baron, and they're trying to get this game on lock, and they're looking close to being able to do so.
Well, it's going to be the barrel coming on through, but it gets secured, and the Gangplank doesn't have flash this time. He's going to get taken down, and Knight is going to pick up his 4th kill, and I really hope we get another look at that mid lane fight, because that was just an insane combo coming on down as Knight was able to just dash. Oh, it was just a beautiful setup.
You see the strength of Camille right now in the fight as well, and if Tom Kinch isn't available for the opposing team, you're just able to knock multiple members away from the ADC in just a couple of seconds. As Camille, when you have this item and a half, you have this much damage, is enough to be able to completely obliterate your opponent. So we're going to see it again.
Let's take a look here.
Yoon does end up taking a lot of damage here at the start, but the ultimate comes through from the ultimate came through from the Ezreal, and that chunked all members down. Zhao Al was able to come around the side and just burst them to pieces. It's a really nice fight that they're able to layer all those damage abilities together. Knight able to dance around the edge on top of that.
Oh, look at this. Knight's come on over toward this bot lane, and fortunately that Gangplank sure uses the cannon barrage, but ain't gonna do a whole lot for him as he gets taken down. SMG now with 4 members, make that 5 toward the bot side of the map. Looking to try and take down this second-tier tower. Hacker's actually going to pop the Rift Herald. They are really looking for this push. They're going to take it down, actually, before it even hits that one. They're going to look to try.
There's only Rise for wave clear. They can try and brute force this.
They can just go for this. Let's see if Imp or anybody's going to pull the trigger. Look at this. LGD, they just respect this and know, hey, there's just no fight we can take. And just like that, a quick push is going to turn into the inhibitor.
Now they can back off, and they know the opponent has to spend so much time clearing this Rift Herald that it gives them the time to reset. They have the Baron buff for those empowered recalls, and get back on the map so quickly that it's just a bombardment of pressure from Suning Gaming. And that Rift Herald pays off dividends as they're able to use it with the Baron buff, just minutes after taking.
And that's just a huge influx of gold for SNG, now up close to 9,000 gold.
Yes, 3.
Yeah, 3. I saw the 3 on the screen. I don't know why I was thinking. It's getting to that point where it's 6 a.m. in the morning overnight. You get a little bit tired, but
it happens.
Besides the point. 23 minutes, you're going to be happy with a 9,000 gold lead. The inhibitor cracked in the bot lane of all places, so that gives them the pressure across the top side of the map now, as they can just leave somebody down toward that, escorting the minions in toward the tower, or even looking to force a 5v5 in top lane, and then it's up to LGD. What do they want to lose? Do they want to try and go for a fight and maybe turn it around, or they're going to lose Nexus towers?
So we talked a little bit about Knight earlier, and his ability in the side lane is going to be so crucial coming soon, but
PYL
potentially caught out.
He can't.
Is going to be able to get away, but takes a... going to take a barrage in the back on the way out. But what we want to talk about here is Knight is yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about how he's chosen to not go for the tank items, chosen to go for the Hextech GLP instead, and it's really working for this combo of damage he's putting out. But like, who needs tank items? Tank items don't help you kill people.
And
5-0 and 3, showing up big, having 10 stacks on that Dark Seal. Why not buy a Mage Eyes?
look at this, 11,000 gold for SNG. They want to keep up the pressure on all three fronts. They are going to be able to at least clear out some of the minions, LGD, as they defend their base. But Knight's in this bot lane. He's looking to escort these minions into the base. They are going to send Yuki down, but that is going to open up the wave clear in mid if LGD is not careful.
It's just being able to use the multiple waves of pressure. It's going to be splitting up the members of LGD, and that's where you can pounce. You can either collapse on a side lane, knowing that you have the double TP, knowing that you have the ability, the movement ability of this Kassadin. You're just able to utilize the maps so effectively to put down as much pressure as possible.
Gonna clear out those minions. Now 25 minutes. What can SNG look to do to try and take more advantages? You'd like to try and look to close this one out as fast as possible, because if you let LGD kind of scale back up, there is the possibility of these team fights going in their favor if this gameplay can just land one good barrel combo from the vision with no vision in the jungle, or if Yuki can just dish out the damage or Imp finds a good ultimate. There is a lot of tools for LGD to find a good fight if they're able to scale back up.
But just look at how much armor there is on every member. Hacker almost going full tank.
True.
You got the boots on Zhao Al, Iceborne Gauntlet, Zhonya's Hourglass. There's just so much to protect yourself from Jinwoo right now. But what does Jinwoo have to protect himself?
Oh, it's gonna be a flash in the Hextech ultimatum. Cannon Barrage is put on down, but SNG just pile on top of him. Knight is actually gonna force the Zhonyas and the Realm Warp out of the Rise. That's actually a nice cooldown to have if SNG want to try and look to force something else.
Now, with the Gangplank gone, we talked about this. He's one of the primary forces of wave clear in the team. This is going to open up mid lane to be taken so freely.
SNG are going to be able to take down this one. That's going to be another inhibitor exposed and immediately taken by SNG. The minions in bot lane also walking in toward the Nexus towers. That is going to force the Shyvana just to look to clear it, but now LGD going to have to try and turtle for a bit longer as they lose out another wave.
And what's perfect here is that early on the reset, they've already sent Knight and Zhao Al back. They're already clearing the jungle, trying to maximize the amount of resources they've got on the map. And they're all going to collapse together onto this dragon. It's going to mean that there's just... the map is so open to Suning Gaming right now. They're so free to do whatever they want, and they're losing so little pressure when they base because of the way they're resetting.
They look to clear out the minions up and toward topside. PYL is going to spot out this Camille, and just a little late to try and maybe steal away a Scuttle Crab.
Exactly.
It's
because of the reset being that much earlier, it's bought the time for Camille to be able to get
oh
that.
my
Stop them from having
goodness,
it.
Knight,
Whoa.
this damage coming on through. Cannon Barrage, it's used at the very last second, and Knight is able just to walk out of that as he assassinates the Gangplank in bot lane.
Gangplank can't deal with this Kassadin right now, and it's meaning that, again, the ranged wave clear is gone. They don't have the ability to hold waves anywhere near as easily. Rise has to walk up so close to a wave to be able to hold it. With Baron spawning now, and him down for another 20 to 25 seconds, it's so easy for Suning to just be able to get this one for free.
The Shyvana up in top lane, but honestly, she needs the rest of the team to be really effective, and just like that, SNG secure themselves their second Baron of the game. And minion waves starting to form up toward this top side. Could look toward this top lane inhibitor and try and make it their next objective. That, or just look for a fight to end the game.
And we talked so much about LGD being this team that needs to be more proactive. I feel like we've talked about it so much now, but it happened in the early game. They tried to make these plays. Not all of them went their way, but it didn't hold up long enough. Come those mid-game phases where Knight is able to just make these collapses look so easy. Jinwoo has been a non-factor, 1 in 5. He is half of his team's deaths, and effectively removing him from the game. This big threat with so much gold on him, is put Suning in a great position.
And look, Fury is just confident walking up and being a front line, it seems, of SNG.
That's what we talked about. He just takes a barrel to the chin and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. PYL is going to use the Fisher to try and break up the fight, but the inhibitor tower is taken down. Knight going to rift walk in, has to pop his Zonya. Still nobody falling. Cannon Barrage is going to catch out a couple members. Fury, though, is safe. Inhibitor now down to its last bout of health, and guess what? Yuki just gets demolished, and Imp is the next target. Fury is able to pick himself up another kill. PYL running toward their fountain, and look at this. LGD, they got at least their first win of the year as far as games goes, but the series will be claimed by SNG as they deny the hometown favorites their chance of securing the first win of their season.
And Suning Gaming, they've lost that one game, so they are tied with RNG in terms of record as the beasts of the East at the minute, but looking fairly convincing at times. That game 2 was a bit of an issue where we saw them have those struggles come the mid-game, but game 1 and 3, so clean. And you gotta think that this team has a lot of potential, but that's just gonna be how they utilize it, and if they can continue improving as the weeks go on.
For LGD, it's gotta feel bad. You were close to at least securing your first series win, but just a little too short there in game 3, and just losing out early. And that's kind of what we saw a lot here with their losses, is that early game lead just snowballing out of control from SNG and really not giving LGD an opportunity to react.
And here we're going to see the statistics. You can see how much damage Janu was able to do, and this is why it was so crucial that they were able to remove him from the map on multiple occasions. We saw how many deaths he had that game, and half of his team's deaths, but the team of Hacker and Zhao Al being able to so consistently make it so he wasn't there at these crucial moments netted them the win, and really was crucial to this game.
Well, congratulations to SNG, and that is actually going to wrap up our cast for tonight. We got to say thank you guys for tuning in. Even during this Game 3, I just got word that the actual official team was casting this one because the other series went to 2 games, so we'll say at least thank you for joining us, and congratulations to SNG as they pick up their second series win of the season. We will be back tomorrow at an undetermined time. I still gotta double check when the English team is gonna be casting. There's 3 series tomorrow, all at different times, but to my knowledge, they're only covering 2 of the series, and I'll have to see. I'm gonna say it's likely gonna be the first series. I believe it's the Billy series starting.
So yeah, between 9 and 11 GMT.
I'm gonna roughly say that because I believe that is the one series that is kind of a more one-sided favorite. Because I think the other series on the table is the Edward Gaming versus Snake. And that one is likely going to be a good matchup. That's a repeat.
Yeah, that one's pretty high.
Repeat of the Demacia Championship just a couple weeks ago, where Snake was able to take 1 game off EDG's almost flawless tournament run. And I believe it's another... I think it's an OMG series is going to run it out. I would have to double check. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to get a well-deserved nap, and I know, Sin, it's bright and early for you, so you get to enjoy your day. Hopefully you enjoyed the night as well.
Thank you, and hopefully see you tomorrow.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you then.
Thank you.